Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Jim Cote, Peter Fitton, Alec Turner, and the Thousand Islands Association for inviting Leeds Thousand Islands Fire Service to speak at this year's annual general meeting. I want you to take a moment and imagine a beautiful Friday evening in July. The sun is setting on the St. Lawrence River, casting that perfect golden glow across the water. You're sitting on your dock, enjoying the peace and quiet of the Thousand Islands. Suddenly, you hear a cry for help from a neighboring island. Or perhaps you smell thick, dense smoke. Or maybe a member of your own family collapses on the deck with chest pains. Your instinct, the instinct of every single person in modern society, is to reach in your pocket, pull out your phone, and dial 911. You expect help to arrive, and it will. But out here, our reality is fundamentally different than it is in the city. When you live, work, or play in this beautiful region, you eventually face a stark geographic truth. Eventually, the road ends. When the asphalt stops, the emergency doesn't. And that is where the Township of Leeds and Thousand Islands Fire Service begins. Today, I want to take you on a behind the scenes of what it looks like to provide elite, professional emergency services when the map turns to water and ice. To understand the scope of what our department handles, we have to look at the unique puzzle that is our geography. The township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands has a permanent year-round population of roughly 10,000 people. On land, that's a manageable size, but during the summer months, our cottage population swells by at least 25%. On top of that, we welcome tens of thousands of seasonal tourists, boaters, campers, and day trippers every single year, and those numbers are climbing. More people on the water means more calls for service. Since COVID-19, we have experienced record-breaking numbers. Our call volumes have skyrocketed across the board, and the river is busier than it's ever been. To give you some immediate perspective, in 2019, we were dispatched to 308 calls for service. Last year, in 2025, Leeds was dispatched to 481 in total. 48 of those calls being on the St. Lawrence River alone. Even though that only represents about 10% of our total call volume, the majority of those 48 calls happened in the window between June and September. As of right now, since January 1st, 2026, we're already sitting at 218 calls for service this year. Now, let's talk about our jurisdiction. Out of the approximately 1,800 islands that make up the world-famous region, the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands directly oversees approximately 950 of them. That's a massive, fragmented puzzle of rock, trees, and steep shorelines. To make matters more critical, on the Canadian side of the St. Lawrence River, Gananoque Fire and Leeds Fire are the only municipalities that maintain and operate designated, fully equipped fireboats on the water all the way between Kingston and South Stormont. If something goes wrong in this wide stretch of river, we are the ones that are coming. And our duty does not stop when the summer ends or our borders are reached. Leeds Fire regularly gets called to assist the OPP and adjacent municipalities, even in the freezing winter months. Just look at last year, right before Christmas. We were dispatched to assist the residents of Wolf Island when they were experiencing severe, dangerous issues with their ferry system in the freezing conditions. When our neighbors needed us, we launched. So, who's running these boats? Who's putting out these fires? This is perhaps the biggest takeaway that I want to leave you with today. Aside from myself as the fire prevention officer, our fire chief, Mike Pryor, and our office administrator, Susie, every single emergency call in this township is run by paid on-call staff. We have 90 dedicated, passionate, paid on-call firefighters spread across our 4 stations. Now, 10 years ago, society would have used the word volunteer firefighter, but that word no longer fits the reality of a modern fire service. As of July 1st, 2026, the province of Ontario has officially enacted a strict historic mandate requiring all firefighters across the province to be fully certified to NFPA standards. What does that mean for you? Well, it means that today, every single one of our 90 paid on-call staff holds the exact same professional certifications, undergoes the exact same rigorous testing, and operates under the exact same standards as a full-time career firefighter in Toronto, Ottawa, or Kingston. They don't get a pass because they're on call. They face the same smoke, the same freezing water, and the same medical crisis. And remember, all those intense training, late night pages, and the hours spent on the river are all done in addition to the regular full-time day jobs. They are your mechanics, your teachers, your business owners, and your neighbors. They are elite professionals who choose to serve. To give these professionals a fighting chance, we maintain a highly specialized marine fleet of 5 boats. We have 3 aluminum Boston Whaler style boats. These are kept on trailers at 3 of our land-based hulls. Because they are trailered, we can rapidly trail them and deploy them not just to the St. Lawrence River, but to any of our inland waters like Charleston Lake, Gananoque Lake, or the Rideau Canal. We also have 2 Stanley-type landing craft boats. Now these are our heavy hitters. We keep them docked right on the St. Lawrence River, one at the government dock in Ivy Lee, and the other at Brennan Marina in Gananoque. These vessels hit the water around April, and they stay until the river begins to freeze in late November. One of the greatest assets of these vessels is their front landing ramps, which have been an absolute game changer for our operations. These ramps are spacious and durable enough to transport a fully loaded ATV, allowing us to seamlessly support missions on larger islands. This versatility has also proven invaluable during mutual aid calls. On 2 occasions, we assisted the OPP by winching accident-involved smaller boats directly onto our deck. Furthermore, the ramps excel at water rescues. By lowering the ramp slightly into the water, we can gently slide a patient onto the deck, minimizing movement and significantly reducing the risk of spinal or neck injuries. Through generous donations from the Thousand Islands Association this winter, we upgraded our vessels to significantly enhance the response capabilities. Each boat was outfitted with emergency lighting, loudspeakers, and sirens. Additionally, we transitioned our onboard fire pumps to permanently hard pipe systems, complete with deck monitor guns. Previously, crews had to manually connect hoses to the pump before deploying water. Now, we can instantly suppress the fire simply by starting the pumps. We also work hand in hand with our partners at Gananoque Fire. They maintain a Carolina skiff type boat at the Gananoque Marina. They service the Admiralty Lakes, or Admiralty Islands, and Lake Fleet Group to the Gananoque Narrows, and seamlessly integrate with Leeds Fire to assist further out in the St. Lawrence River whenever needed. Because the river can be treacherous, unpredictable environment, our standard operating procedure dictates that we always send a minimum of 2 boats to every single river call. This is a non-negotiable safety rule. If a fireboat suffers a mechanical failure, gets hung up on a shoal, or encounters unexpected weather, help is already on the way. Furthermore, if we arrive and find a mass casualty situation, we instantly have the manpower required. In the fire service, it is a whole lot easier to stand down a boat or an apparatus that is already en route than it is to realize that you're drowning unseen and have to wait another 20 minutes for a second unit to launch from the mainland. For medical calls, every second counts. Depending on the severity of the medical emergency and where the land-based paramedics are rendezvousing with us, the first boat will often bolt straight to the island to begin basic life support and patient care stabilization. The second boat will act as a dedicated transport vessel to bring the paramedics and their gear directly to the patient. For example, if a call comes in directly in front of Gananoque Fire and Leeds Station 3 will launch simultaneously. If a call comes in near Ivy Lee or Rockport, the Ivy Lee boat responds immediately with personnel from Lead Station 1, while Lead Station 3 launches from Brenham Marina to back them up. This dual boat response model has radically reduced our response times and has saved lives. Now, let's look at the worst case scenario, a structure fire on an island. Fighting a fire on land is challenging. Fighting a structure fire on an island is a monumental, high stakes coordination of resources, logistics, and raw manpower. When an island cottage catches fire, our crews don't just jump into a boat with a fire extinguisher. Crews respond to the respective land halls, gear up in full bunker gear, and drive our massive pumper trucks and rescue apparatus right down to the boat launch. Once there, we have to manually unstrap, unload, and transfer hundreds of pounds of hose, extra portable pumps, axes, tools, and breathing apparatus from the trucks onto the boats. The first boat to arrive at the burning island essentially becomes a floating fire engine. The crew will tie up to the dock, engage the boat's onboard fire pump, and if possible, unleash the deck gun. The water cannon mounted to the bow to knock down the main body of the fire and prevent it from leaping into surrounding trees and brush. At the same time, firefighters are deploying physical hand lines onto the island to attack the flames. And of course, all of this happens uphill from the boats. The second boat immediately transitions into a dedicated ferry service, running back and forth to the mainland to bring more firefighters and air tanks and tools. The third boat, usually one of our trailer units, remains stationed at the main dock. This is our dedicated safety and medical evacuation boat, ensuring that if a firefighter or civilian is injured, we can get them to land instantly without interrupting the fire attack. To show you how fast this can escalate, let's look back at the Ash Island fire. The fire was so massive and the risk of a sweeping forest fire across the island was so high that we deployed all 5 of our Leeds fireboats to the scene. Gananoque Fire responded, the Canadian Coast Guard was on site, and we even had a heroic member of the public show up in their personal boat, rigged with their own private fire pumps to help us put out secondary spot fires caused by the flying embers of the main inferno. But as a fire service, with our eyes trained on the big fire, our minds always have to be on the next call. While the Ash Island fire was raging, we received 3 separate unrelated emergency calls on the mainland. This is where the beauty of the mutual aid system comes in. Because our entire fleet and dozens of our personnel were committed to the river, we instantly activated our mutual aid agreements. Our incredible neighboring municipalities stepped up, sending their fire trucks and firefighters to help cover our township and supplement our standby crews on the mainland while running calls for us. We have a great relationship with our regional and international partners, including the OPP, EMS, RCMP, Canadian Coast Guard, Joint Rescue Coordination Center of Trenton, Canadian Border Services, Kingston Fire, Frontenac Islands Fire, and even our neighbors across the border in Jefferson County. In fact, last summer during maintenance on the Canadian span of the Thousand Islands Bridge, Chief Pryor and myself met with Jefferson County coordinators and established an informal pact. If an emergency were to happen on Hill Island while the bridge was closed, American units would roll to assist immediately. We've even handled major motor vehicle accidents on the bridge, where Wellesley Island handled the south side and Leeds Fire handled the north side. Safety knows no boundaries out here. Our specialized capabilities also extend to the dead of winter. We feature a highly trained team of ice water rescue technicians, equipped with specialized inflatable rapid deployment crafts called Fortunas. Our crews can seamlessly transition from trekking across solid ice to paddling through open, freezing water to rescue stranded snowmobilers or ice fishermen. When you're sitting on an unmarked island or floating in an open bay, telling a 911 dispatcher, well, I'm near the big pine tree at the old cottage, doesn't really help us much. Even latitude and longitude coordinates can be easily misheard or mistyped under stress. That's why Leeds Fire has integrated an innovative tool called What Three Words. For those who don't know, What Three Words has divided the entire globe into a grid of 3 meters by 3 meters square, giving every single square a unique, permanent combination of 3 simple words. Now, it's not officially used by 911 dispatch centers currently, but our communication center in Brockville uses it constantly. Instead of panic reading a string of 15 numbers, a caller can just read us the 3 words, like overrated, mozzarella, compost. And our navigation system will pinpoint you within 3 meters. One of the greatest features of this app is the built-in compass mode. When our crews are out on the wide open water in low visibility or pitch darkness, you can switch the app to a compass needle that points directly toward the patient and displays the exact distance remaining. Earlier this year, our crews responded to a tragic drowning call. Using the What Three Words app, our boat navigated directly to the exact 3 meter square where the patient was located in the water, without losing a single second. It's been a game-changing tool. As much as I love our boats and our highly trained crews, my ultimate goal is to never have to visit your property. Prevention is the best tool we have. Now let's look at how we can protect your island homes, cottages, and bunkies. Smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. It's the law. Let's clear up a dangerous misconception right now. Cottage properties are not exempt from the Ontario Fire Code. It is the law in Ontario that you must have working smoke alarms on every level of your home and outside all sleeping areas. Furthermore, as of January 1st, 2026, Ontario laws explicitly mandate you must have working carbon monoxide alarms if your property contains a fuel burning appliance, which includes wood stoves, gas fireplaces, propane stoves, or if you have an attached garage. This absolutely applies to your seasonal cottages, island bunkies, or any place where people sleep. A fire doesn't care if a structure is seasonal. It burns just as hot and just as fast. 40 years ago, when fabrics were still made of cotton, wool, and natural fibers, you had about 10 to 15 minutes to escape your home during a fire. In today's modern world, where everything is made from engineered lumber and all our fabric materials are made from synthetics and oils, the escape time is roughly 2 to 3 minutes max. A regular modern day couch sitting in your living room releases about the same heat energy as 20 liters of gasoline. Last year in 2025, there were 125 fatalities in Ontario as a result of fires. Cottages and Airbnbs, the reality of liability. Airbnbs and cottage rentals are a fantastic way to learn extra income, and our tourism economy thrives on it. But you need to understand the immense legal responsibilities on your shoulder. From a fire code perspective, whatever happens at the property is the sole responsibility of the property owner. If your short-term renters light a massive bonfire during a total burn ban, ignore the open air bylaw, and we have to dispatch our trucks and boats to put it out, the potential municipal fines do not go to the renter. They are issued directly to you, the property owner. More importantly, if you are renting out your property and do not have the legally required smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, you can be heavily charged underneath the Ontario Fire Prevention and Protection Act. And heaven forbid a fire occurs where a renter is injured or killed and working alarms are absent, you can and will be held criminally responsible for negligence. Check your alarms before every single check-in. Islands are highly vulnerable to wildfire spread. You can drastically protect your property by practicing smart landscaping. Cut back the dead, low-hanging vegetation and branches within 10 meters of your structures. Implement hard landscaping. Use natural stone pathways, gravel borders, and concrete patios directly against your cottage walls instead of dry mulch and overgrown brush. This creates a natural fuel break that can stop a creeping brush fire from climbing onto your cottage. Investing in a portable fire pump is an excellent way to protect your property from fire. To support this, Leeds Fire has partnered with the Thousand Islands Association to launch our Dock-to-Door Fire Pump program. Through this partnership, the Thousand Islands Association purchased 2 portable fire pumps and the necessary equipment for Leeds Fire. Last year, we hosted 7 clinics on private islands and at the Ivy League Government Dock, where firefighters demonstrated fire pump maintenance, basic operation, and foundational firefighting techniques. The goal of this program is not to train property owners to become professional firefighters. Frankly, if a structure is fully engulfed, these portable pumps cannot safely extinguish the fire. However, if a neighboring property catches fire, these pumps will allow you to wet down your surrounding areas and protect your own property from the spreading embers until the fire service arrives. Our first clinic of the year will be on Trouton Island on July 25th and on Juniper Island on August 8th. We were supposed to have the first clinic at the Ivy League Government Dock on June 25th, but it had to be rescheduled until August. The exact date is yet to be determined, but stay tuned to our socials and the township website for further details. If anyone would like to find out more information about the clinic, you can contact me at the details, which I'll post at the end of the presentation. If you do have to call 911 from an island or a remote dock, you need to help us help you. Here's your immediate homework checklist. Download the What 3 Words app today. Find the 3-word address for your main cottage and the very end of your dock. Write it down and put it on the TIA fridge magnet so your guests, your kids, and renters can read it instantly to a 911 operator. Light up the night. If you call us after dark, turn on every single light on your property. If you have a flashlight or a flare, send someone to stand safely at the very end of your dock and wave in our boats. Have redundant communication. Cell service can be spotty in the water. Keep a charged marine-grade handheld VHF radio on your boat and at your cottage. Channel 16 is always monitored by the Canadian Coast Guard. Is your dock clearly visible from the water? Is your 911 civic number clearly posted on the water-facing side of your property? Not just on the land side. When we respond to emergency, our first responders are trained to look for a reflective blue blade 911 marker. You could have a 6-foot-tall elephant with your numbers painted on it, but we would probably miss it in the dark. Furthermore, consider your dock's health. Can a heavy aluminum landing craft safely tie up in a storm? Or is it a floating seasonal dock that can't handle the weight? Knowing our primary municipal access launches like the Lions Launch in Gananoque, the Ivy League and Rockport municipal docks also help to understand our path of travel. Common sense is not as common as it used to be. If you have a rental property, does your renter know how to get a hold of you? I once went to a call we were dispatched to by the alarm monitoring company. When we got to the island, the alarm was still blaring. The young lady, who came from a big city, booked the rental through an app on her phone. At some point, she decided to cook a pizza at 2 o'clock in the morning and forgot to take it out of the box first. She said that she did not know how to turn off the security alarm system, and she had no way of contacting the owner of the rental except through the booking app. I asked her how she and 8 of her friends got there, and she said she was dropped off by the water taxi, but didn't even really know where she was, and she thought she was actually in Kingston. So we get calls like this on a regular occurrence. Please take the time to make up an information book of who to call in an emergency, who to call in a non-emergency, what island or cottage they're actually at, or better yet, personally meet the tenants upon their arrival and show them anything that they might need to know about the property. We had another call where we were called to a medical call on an island, and a patient needed to be transported to hospital for a not so urgent medical issue. When our crews got to the island, there was a patient and 10 other of their family members standing on the dock with their luggage. They expected us to ferry them all back to the mainland. Much to the dismay of the renters, there were still 9 people standing on the dock when the fireboat cleared the scene. I have been in the fire service now for almost 2 decades. In those almost 20 years, I have personally attended around a dozen drowning cases right here in our region. Out of all the tragic victims that my crew and I have had to recover from the depths of the water, not a single one of them was wearing a life jacket or a PFD. Not one. And what breaks my heart the most, what truly disturbs me to this day, is that in probably half of those drownings we recovered, the victim was less than 20 yards from shore. Often people think, well, I'm a great swimmer, or the water is pretty calm, or those bulky life jackets, they're just too uncomfortable when I'm driving the boat. Well, look what I'm wearing right now. It's light, it's comfortable, and it gives me full range of motion. You barely know it's even there. But if I hit a shoal, if I get thrown from the vessel and knock my head unconscious, this device can save my life. It's that fast, it's that simple. Whether you're young, old, or anywhere in between, wear your life jacket every single time you're on the water. Canadian drowning statistics prove that each year over 80% of recreational boaters should drown for not wearing a life jacket. Do not become a statistic that we have to recover. Finally, let's talk about a daily point of confusion: backyard fires and brush clearing. Every single resident in the township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands must have an open air burn permit if you'd like to burn. The good news is they're 100% free. You can get yours in less than a few minutes by visiting lti.burnpermits.com or by stopping by the township office during normal business hours. Once you have it, it's valid until December 31st of that year. You can easily renew it online the following year. With your standard permit, you're legally allowed to have a classic campfire, but there are strict safety parameters that you must follow. The fire must be no larger than 1 meter by 1 meter in all directions. It must be located at least 10 meters away from any combustible structures, trees, or property lines. It must be supervised at all times by a competent individual, and you must have adequate immediate means of extinguishing it right next to the fire, like a charged hose, a bucket of water, or sand, or something like that. Now, what if you're clearing up your property in the spring or fall and you want to burn a pile of brush, or use a burn barrel or an incinerator? That's perfectly fine, but that fire is larger and poses a higher risk, so you must register your burn before you light it. It's incredibly easy. You simply call our automated burn line at 613-704-1812 before you strike the match. Listen to the quick recorded message and press 1 and your permit is registered for the next 24 hours. Why do we make you do this? Well, because the moment you press 1, that active permit automatically pops up on our digital response app. If a neighbor across the lake sees smoke and calls 911, our dispatchers and responding officers can look at the app, see that you've registered a brush burn at the exact address, and we can manage our resources accordingly instead of sending sirens screaming down the road to jump into a boat and go to a controlled burn. Regardless of what you're burning, you are legally required to know the current burn restriction level for that specific day. We no longer rely solely on the physical road signs around the township. Today, you can instantly check the current level on the township's website, the burn permit portal, or by calling the same burn line. It takes less than 60 seconds. These restriction levels are decided collectively at the county level by the Leeds Grenville Association of Fire Chiefs based on weather, wind, and soil dryness. Risk level 1, that's low risk. That means there are no burning restrictions. Risk level 2, that's high risk. It means we are cautioning residents when open air burning. A risk level 3, that's a level 1 burn ban. This means no open air burning of brush, burn barrels, and incinerators are allowed. Campfires and outdoor fireplaces for the purposes of cooking and warmth are still permitted. A risk level 4, that is a level 2 burn ban. This restricts all open air burning, including campfires and outdoor appliances, but does not include the use of appliances that are equipped with a mechanical shutoff like a barbecue or a propane fire tabletop. A risk level 5, this is extreme. This is a total burn ban. This means absolutely no open flame allowed of any kind. If someone chooses to ignore the open air bylaw, the monetary penalties can be dear. If we have to deploy our apparatus and paid on-call personnel to extinguish an illegal or negligent fire, the property owner will face an official invoice from the department for services. The current rate in 2026 is $583.25 per hour per vehicle, calculated from the moment our tires move until every single unit is washed, packed, and back into the station. If we send 3 trucks and a boat for 3 hours, that's an incredibly expensive campfire. With that being said, we're reasonable people. We know that accidents happen. If you have a valid permit, if you follow the rules, you acted in good faith, and a sudden freak gust of wind caught a spark and it got away from you, call us immediately. If you acted in good faith, you will not face a monetary penalty. We want you to call us before it's too late. As we look forward into the rest of 2026 and beyond, the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands Fire Service stands ready. Whether by truck, by rescue craft, by fireboat, or across the winter ice, our 90 newly certified, highly trained, dedicated, paid on-call professionals are watching over the river. But safety is a partnership. We provide the elite response. You must provide the prevention. Put the alarms in your cottages, check your rental properties, use the What 3 Word app, and for the sake of your family, please wear your life jackets. Thank you for all your time this morning, and thank you for your continued support of our fire service, and let's keep the island safe. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to send us an email or call our office, and our staff will be happy to assist you. Thank you.